Hello. So today I really wanted to share with you a little bit about states of happiness or the lack of happiness that sometimes we feel. Our careers take this really meandering path, and it can be really challenging for us to figure out how do we, not only get from point A to Z in our careers, but also this underlying feeling of despair or frustration or the lack of what we consider to be joy. When we are continually going down our path and we are feeling frustrated, it can be difficult to see the other side, to see the opportunities, to see the progress, to see the growth and the change, the evolution, if you will, of our continued growth and progress throughout our lives, throughout our careers. And this can be due to a number of things that we have experienced throughout our life. And one of the things that I noticed for myself when I decided to finally move into this passion work of mine that I now love doing with my clients was that I still struggled at times to find the joy. And it wasn't within the work, it was within myself. It was a struggle to find happiness and joy within myself, because I hadn't allowed for it for such a long time. It wasn't a part of my existence. It wasn't a part of my life. Sure, there was acute joy. There's joy and laughter when you watch a funny movie or when you see something that your child has done that's cute or adorable, or you hear a joke. There's different types of joy, but I'm talking about real fulfillment, real innate happiness and joy. And what this can start to do is program us from feeling or being able to embody joy holistically and prevent us from taking action, from moving forward, from feeling like it's possible for us to experience that. I don't know if you've ever met anyone before who's ever experienced that feeling, or they state, well, this isn't possible. Well, change isn't possible. Well, I can never be happy, or bad things are always happening to me, or always waiting for the next shoe to drop. And that's because sometimes in life, there are those moments that inform our minds that bad things happen when we start to experience expectations of joy or happiness. As a young child, I know that I had certain experiences like that because there were moments where I was supposed to go on a camping trip, or we were supposed to go to a theme park, and something happened that prevented me from going. Well, that was devastating for me. And so I started to expect that whenever I wanted something good or positive in my life, that it ultimately something would come in and disrupt that. It would create a barrier from me having that joy or that happiness or fulfillment. And that carried with me a very long time, even into motherhood, where I'm so anti making promises or setting expectations that could potentially fall apart, that I really struggle with even sharing how we're planning for a long trip or something good, big or grand in our lives, because I don't want my own child to feel that sense of disappointment. Why is this important? Well, it informs how we then set expectations for ourselves, even moving forward. It informs the types of expectations we put on ourselves to do a good job. As a high performer, we set really high expectations that it's possible that we can't even meet ourselves because we are knowing that we may never meet them anyways. Our brains are a really fascinating and complex place to be. I was just sitting in a class on neuroscience, and we're talking about the hippocampus and how it develops when we around ages 3 to 4. And at that time is when our brain starts having physical memory. But prior to that, we have this other memory too that's informing us of how we're nurtured, how we are taken care of, if our needs are met. And this can start to inform our own reactions physically within our bodies that then impact and inform us the rest of our lives. The good thing is that there's always room for change, but we oftentimes don't consider how our mental state and our physical body, our physical being are interacting with one another. So even when we're thinking about making a positive shift or a positive change in our future or toward our future, we aren't considering where our body is in that state as well. And when we're thinking about it, or what our mindset is. And that's why sometimes we can stop ourselves short. Our lack of self-efficacy comes into play, and we stop believing that it's possible. We have to be able to believe that it's possible. So how do we get there? How do we get to a place where we can start, believing? And this is a part of this work that I love doing with clients, which is really creating contrast and creating pattern interrupts and really leveraging how our mind and our body are connected so that we can physically embody a change of state, a change of being, and moving from one place where we feel like we are living and are existing to another state of being. And this is not existential. What it is, it's really reinforming and relearning how we respond, how we show up, the habitual patterns that we have, the natural responses that we have, visceral reactions to certain situations that we might be involved with, certain challenges that we might be facing, all the way stemming back to things that we may have experienced growing up that now have informed us as adults. Whether that's how we handle stress, how we handle strong emotions, how we handle when people want to befriend us too quick, too soon, lack of trust, a lot of things that can come up in the workplace that help us to keep our guard up, keep our barriers up, make sure that we are safe. All of these things inform our actions and whether or not we believe that we are capable or that the universe has out for us another plan, another path, and that we can possibly achieve it. I think it's important to note this in ourselves when we're starting to consider how we want to move up, how we want to create a greater impact, how we want to lead a life of purpose. If we are not yet embodying that or knowing how to get there. And I think there's this point in time too that sometimes we're like, well, I don't know. Right now I'm just unhappy because of the situation that I'm in. And when I'm there, I will be happier. But that's not always the case. And so it's a trained response. It's a learned response that we also have to start to overcome so that we can embody the person that we want to be now. We can embody the joy that we want to feel now that will then help us to get to where we ultimately want to be living, to be doing, to be as an individual. So how we shape our experiences, how we shape our mindset, how we respond to situations all play a role in our own belief and how we move from one place or one point in time, how we evolve to another. And when we're thinking about how we rise up in our leadership, or if we want to found an organization or start pursuing our passions or change our work in a way that brings greater meaning and value and purpose, we have to start doing some of that work now so that we can get there. So I talk oftentimes about strategy and planning and really thinking about how we can, make it possible for ourselves in tandem. However, it's also important that we're doing some of the inner work, some of the work that we don't even see. It's under the surface and it's plaguing us and it's keeping us held back. It's keeping us from moving forward. And so if we can start thinking about that in a greater way and really taking note, how am I responding? What are my signals? What is my body telling me? What is my mind telling me? How is this showing up for me? All of these little things start to play a part and they inform us of where we might need to make some adjustments. We might need to make some shifts so that we can fully embody being the person that we need to become in order to be leading the lives that we want to lead. I'd love to know in the comments what comes up for you when I'm talking about this. What types of things come to your mind? And how do you feel like you are embodying the person that you are looking to evolve into within the next 2, 5, 10 years so that you are preparing yourself for moving forward? I'd love to hear more in the comments and just what types of feedback you have for me or questions that you might want me to answer.